Our sex, male or female, is determined by the sex chromosomes X and Y. Females will have two X chromosomes and males have one X and one Y chromosomes. So this means our sex is determined by the presence of the Y chromosome. The inheritance of sex happens at a probability of 50% each. The overall ratio of male to female births is 1 to 1. Yes. The offspring from sexual reproduction differ in their genetic makeup because of the genetic variation. There are two main reasons for this: the huge variation of gametes resulting from the cell division and the random chance of fertilization. That is, any one of the billion cells formed could fertilize any egg cell. These two put together would result in almost every individual being genetically identical. The organism's appearance depends not only on the genes but on the environment as well. For example, while the height of someone is mainly controlled by the genes, it also depends on the availability of food. Evolution means that species are not fixed in their form but change over time. English biologist Charles Darwin proposed that the mechanism for this evolution was natural selection. How did he come to this conclusion? In 1831, Darwin went on a 5-year trip on a ship called the HMS Beagle. There, he made many observations on the species and collected hundreds of specimens. At the end of the trip, Darwin had made 3 key observations. 1. Organisms produce more offspring than are needed to replace them. For example, one salmon lays over 5 million eggs. Despite this, the population of the species remained the same. And 3. Members of the same species show genetic variation. From this, Darwin deduced that there is a struggle for existence, meaning there must be competition within the same species, and that if some of the offspring survive and some don't, only the best adapted organisms will survive to reproduce. If we look closer into his deductions, Darwin says only the best adapted organism will survive to reproduce, meaning the characteristics that give the organism a higher chance of survival will be passed on to the next generation. So the next generation would have more of the well-adapted type and less of the poorly adapted type. This will be repeated every generation. This is the process of evolution. Let's look at an example of natural selection. Polar bears are said to have evolved from brown bears. So when these brown bears, about 150,000 years ago, came to live in the Arctic or such places, the bears with long, pale fur would have a selective advantage over the bears with shorter, darker fur. Bears without the long, pale fur genes are more likely to die from cold or lack of food. This means well-adapted bears would reproduce with each other and pass on the genes.